All right, so here are my 5 audience members. Cool. All right. So I have chosen the topic pro-animal testing because I strongly believe that there are cures and treatments that can come out of pro-animal testing. Everyone has had an animal or a pet that they loved and cared for, so most can relate to this controversial issue. One thing I think most people can say is it doesn't need to be outlawed in the United States. One of the things that I was researching is that it can actually be more beneficial to finding cures and treatments, or even for cancer. So I think it should be allowed um, to continue because it's contributed to so many life-changing cures and treatments to today. There's a fact that I actually found that we wouldn't have had a cure or a vaccination if it wasn't for chimpanzees, because we actually have a cure based off of testing from them for hepatitis B. Hepatitis C, we have our best hope from chimpanzees that people are affected here in the United States. 15,000 people annually have been affected from hepatitis C. So if we continue to do animal testing on chimpanzees, we may or may not have a cure for hepatitis C as well. But the thing is, we would never know if we stop continuing to try. Although this sounds, kind of crucial and inhumane, which is why people will argument the fact that we should stop testing because it's so bad. Of course, you guys, I don't know if you guys have ever gone on the internet and have researched animal testing, but there's like viral videos out there that make the perspective of the viewer change because of the fact that they see animals behaving so crazy or yelling and screaming and trying to run away. But what makes you think they're not just as scared to do the animal testing, just as if you were a human and you were going through a testing too? So the perspective will change for the viewer if you're watching the video and seeing it firsthand, but in reality, they really are just going through a process, and what makes you think that they're just not scared to also go through it. Most of the time, they'll do cosmetic testing based off of animals or even some humans, but 97,000 animals suffered from pain during experiments, which can kind of contradict what I'm all for. However, it sounds very crucial, but there is a positivity out from it that's emerged from the processes of animal testing. But such as drug behaviors that were acknowledged through the mutations that humans differ to animals. Coincidentally, contracted universities will have the legal documents that say, hey, you are okay to go ahead and do this, particularly in your university, especially when it comes to teaching students. So if we're not educating others based on a small, something that's super tiny in most people's eyes, it's really a big contradiction in other people's eyes because they're seeing there is hope, there is a future for people, my sick kid or, my sick aunt, and people are just not wanting to go through with something because they feel bad for an animal. However, it kind of contradicts with what I'm going for as far as continuing the process of animal testing, because the genetic makeup of most animals is like 99% similar. For example, like the nervous system, we have the same makeup and it's comparable to humans in many ways. For example, mammals, they are composed of the same organs, so like heart, lungs, and the liver, kidneys. Also, just as you would touch like a hot stove, you have the same reaction as if your dog or your cat touched the stove. You're going to take your hand off really quick, and you might say a few words that shouldn't be said, but that's how you react because your nervous system is telling you to move. Like, that is not good. Remove yourself from it. Animals are in fact protected by a particular act called the Animal Welfare Act of 1966, and what that really talks about is, they're required to do regular observations where including like household arrangements, the size of where they're enclosed, so the environment that they're around. They're always they will have access to clean food and water, and they're also checking on the temperature for that particular environment that they're in, so that way they're always taken care of. So they're always being observed. So how unorthodox is it to say that animals don't have rights? Which is also a good argument. However, there are people that are specialized in this particular field because they have the qualifications to do it. They wouldn't set any just, average Joe person into doing something as crucial as trying to find a cure and find a treatment for someone that's going through, a certain illness, or that they're still continuing to find a cure for it. Although people may say that they are Save the Animals or pro Save the Animals, they are still allowing people to do testing, because if they felt as though they really were harming animals, wouldn't you think that they would tell people, hey, we need to look into this. This is a big issue. Why is it that people are saying that people are harming the animals during the process? And that's totally false. So there's no real scientific need for mice, fish, and birds. During that act, the opposing argument for that is that mice, fish, and birds weren't included in the original act, but in 2002, there was an amendment that was passed and said, you know what? Yes, these three animals, these three species aren't included, but here's the reasoning why. They're controlling the money set into specific testing for other animals that are becoming more extinct versus those that have a shorter lifespan cycle. So, of course, bunnies, rats, birds, mice, they all populate very quickly. They have babies like no others. So, for instance, I would most likely put research and money into cheetahs versus, a cat. And the reasoning behind that is so that way we can continue putting the money where we feel as though it's actually going to make a benefit versus something that, it may pass away in 3 days, but hey, we got another one. You get what I'm saying? So ultimately, it just comes down whether or not we believe in making it the impossible a reality. Who gets to really say what is right or wrong when it does come to making a decision to finding cures for someone that is absolutely ill and can't find, doesn't have that hope to give that, hey, they're going to live another day. Animal testing has saved lives, and that's a proven fact. So why not continue to progress and provide humans and animals an enhanced living? So thank you. Here are my 5 audience members once again.